Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffs responded. That's all you could have asked for if you were a Colorado fan. The lynch mob was out. They were hungry for Buffalo blood, and this weekend they didn't get any. That, even though it was against Colorado State, was a must-win game on the field and recruiting-wise for the Buffaloes. Now, what did Colorado do to help themselves recruiting? Well, one, like I said last week, they made adjustments. When they took the right tackle and moved him to guard and moved the right tackle from the bench up to the starting right tackle, and I think Justin Myers, the guy from UTEP, he didn't start this last game, but I do feel like he's going to be in a rotation that also created depth. Making necessary adjustments is really important when it comes to recruiting because you want to let somebody know that, hey, if something isn't going right, we're going to do the things that are necessary in order to put you in the best position. Another thing that they did was they gave the ball to Michael Welch, a freshman. One of the biggest recruiting tools that you can have in college football is to say if you're good enough to play, you will play. We're not married to anybody at any position. The best player will play. My man T. Will of Arkansas has this thing. He says, standards, not starters. So if you hit the standard at Colorado, you're going to play. Michael Welch comes out, 9 carries, 65 yards, a bowling ball of a running back. But in Georgia, we already knew what he was. He chose to go out to Colorado, and now we may have a budding star. When Dallin Hayden gets back, now you have a 1-2 punch. But I think that's really important because the more they start to recruit and they go to high school, and they're sending more offers out as we speak, being able to showcase somebody that came in, worked their tail off, maybe had a little bit of adversity when it comes to being so far away from home and not playing right away, keeping his nose down, keeping his head down, right? And going to work. And when his number was called, he balled. When you make the call, you got to ball. And that's what happens with Mike. That's what happened with Michael Welch, where I think really bode well for them recruiting wise. Another thing that happened was the team banded together. When you have a culture where people are excited about playing together, even if at any time you can have a me against the world or us against the world mentality, when you have recruits come on campus, they see that. They see the brotherhood, they talk to each other, and they understand that in order to be a part of this, you have to look like this. And when I say look like this, when things are going bad, you have to band together. You have to be willing to put your personal desires and your personal aspirations to the side and band together with your brothers. And I think that Colorado banded together. I got a quote from Nakai Hill Green, who will join us later on. And what he said was the team locked arms with their backs against the wall. And that's how they were able to put on that type of performance against Colorado State. Now, with Colorado State, they're not Big 12 competition, but this was a rivalry game. And if Colorado State came out and beat Colorado, we'd still be talking about it for the next 2 weeks. So this was a must-win game against a team that played Colorado tougher than anybody thought they would have last year. Rivalry game. You know there's some history with Jay Norvell and Deion Sanders. You got the Colorado State players talking a little bit of trash, the quarterback and the wide receiver, Torrey Horton. But Colorado came out and did what they had to do. They rushed for over 100 yards, finally. And I think that's so important when it comes to opening things up for Shedeur, who throws one of the prettiest balls in college football. There was one that he threw, I forgot who the receiver was, but it was over the shoulder, and the receiver was covered really well. But Shedeur dropped the ball in there. I almost think that the receiver was surprised that the ball was thrown so well. But an incompletion was Shedeur's most impressive throw yesterday. So you have a quarterback that can take you to distance. There isn't a better. You can take your pick of who you like the most, but as far as just an overall better quarterback, you're not going to find a better quarterback, more tools than Shedeur Sanders in college football. Yeah, you might have somebody who you like better, but nobody is going to outclass him in college football, which I think is really something that Colorado needs to focus on, and they have. But as you continue to run the ball, now you can allow him to get even more comfortable. One thing that I saw for Shedeur yesterday that I didn't see a lot of in the Nebraska game was being able to throw the ball with his feet set. Textbook. we talk about arm sliding and arm angles at different quarterbacks, but what about the feet? When quarterbacks are able to set their feet, they become different people. And a lot of times we talk about quarterbacks that are able to throw on the move because that's a different dynamic that it adds to the offense. But Shedeur being a pocket passer, when he said, and he can make the throws off of one leg when he needs to and on the run. But when he sets his feet, he's special. And that's due to the play of the offensive line and the adjustments made. And also it's also due to the running game. Now, he had 16 carries this game. And I talked about this a week before, and I said that Pat Shermer, historically, when even in the NFL, when he's seen it, he needs to run the ball more, he makes the adjustment. I think they'll run the ball even more going forward. The only thing I would have liked to have seen last game was them to run the ball more in the fourth quarter and just kind of protect Shedeur a little bit. But I think that quality reps are something that you can't pay for. And I think that now, as you go in the Big 12 season, every rep is important. And I think that's probably why Colorado was passing the ball later in the game when the game was put away. But outside of that, yeah, absolutely. I think it was a great performance, and I think it's going to bode well recruiting-wise for the Buffs. You can't overstate the job that Coach Livingston is doing on defense. I absolutely think that he's a rising star. Robert Livingston, when in the last, what is it, 6 quarters, he's given up 9 points. No matter who you're going against, that's impressive. 6 quarters, 9 points. Now, some of the adjustments being made. Nakai Hill-Green, who will join me on the show, started. Came out, he looked like a veteran. He looked like a big hitter. You saw that sideline to sideline ability. He kind of changed the defenses. He kind of changed the defense a little bit, and now he's raised the standard. Now you got 4 linebackers that can play. You got more defensive linemen that are getting comfortable. So I think as Colorado starts to settle recruiting-wise, and I'm not just talking high school recruiting, now you're seeing guys who they brought in a lot of portal guys. And I think when I talked about adjustments earlier, but the adjustments being made with portal guys is also going to be important for Colorado recruiting the transfer portal going forward. Not only because, if we tell you you're going to play, you're going to play, but making transfer portal candidates come in and realize that there's talent here now. I think last year it was a little bit different with the recruiting pitch because, you had to have somebody right now. Now you're able to recruit guys and say, hey, if you beat this guy out, you'll play. But there's an opportunity for a competition here. And when you raise the level of competition in your own locker room, you also raise the level of competition on the football field. So I think having guys in the transfer portal who may not have started but have worked their way up, and even speaking to Nakai, he was like, hey, based on the game plan, we got so much talent. My skill set may not be the best for every game plan, but I'm going to prepare as if I'm starting every game. And I think that mentality is something that's seeping into the rest of the locker room. And I think that's one of the pluses of bringing in mature guys who have veteran leadership already, who've played a lot of football. I think that's one of the pluses when you see Colorado take such a transfer portal heavy mentality or stance when it comes to recruiting, because you bring in guys like Nakai Hill-Green who can come in the 3rd game of the season and you wouldn't know it had he not been starting every game. So I think having that readiness, having that culture, having guys that prepare well, having guys with the maturity that it takes to deal with the media and everything that goes along with it, with being a Colorado Buffalo right now under Coach Prime, I think that's important. So recruiting-wise, I think that this game showed a lot to high school recruits, but even more to transfer portal recruits. And I think Colorado, if they go out here and they beat Baylor, then they got UCF. You got 2 games. Even if you split those games, you're still in a better position than you were last year. And I think that Colorado has a bright future. And I think as long as they continue to chop wood, the Buffaloes can surprise some people along the way. All right, let's get ready for Nakai Hill-Green here on the 5 Star Flex.